Oh my goodness, this lady got her law degree at 48 and then was a hugely influential human rights lawyer for many years. So we're spending the majority of the runtime on that, right? Right?
Uma foto menos feliz.
Olha que é triste. Nós vamos sorrir. Sorriam.
Rare that the response to Are You Still Watching is the title of the film, but here we are. I decided to finish off my watching of all the Oscar Best Picture nominees right before the ceremony with this Brazilian film about the hardships of living under a military dictatorship and raising 5 kids while having all sorts of other shit going on. And it was really fun. I'm Still Here stars Fernanda Torres, who has been called superb, unmissable, remarkable, masterful, beautiful, performance of the year, performance of a lifetime, achieving godhood, the whole shebang, as she plays Eunice Paiva, a woman who has to deal with the sudden absence of her husband because he is taken by the military dictatorship of Brazil in the 1970s, and she's got 5 kids to look after and not a lot of money to speak of, and then she also gets taken in prison for a while, and it's just... And she has to not have a stroke while all of this goes on, which is just really extra impressive, I think. We meet this family where there's bordering on too many children to keep track of. There's the one who wants to go to London and then goes to London and then comes back from London. That's her whole thing. There's the one who steals dogs. Seriously, whose dog did they steal? Don't know. There's the one who gets taken with her mother and father when they get in prison for a while. And then there's the one who's also there, and the other one who's also there. You don't really need to keep track of the children that much, because the whole story focuses on this mother and how she manages to hold it together, hold this family together, while desperately trying to figure out what's going on, where her husband is, if he's alive, if he's dead, if he's been taken. The government wouldn't even admit that he'd been taken. So it's a real just... incredible frustration and horror to live under. It's kind of a thriller bordering on, because there's so much suspense around that idea. It's a horrible way to live, and they were forced to for a long time. I really love the opening of this film. Fernanda Torres isn't in the background for the first 20-30 minutes, but she's very much, it feels like the dad is the main character, that it positions him that way. And that made it feel like such a gaping hole had been left in the film, which is exactly what they wanted, because it needed to feel like it did for this family, when they suddenly, this central figure in their family and their lives was just gone. And the absence then is its own character, kind of, and it's nuts, and it helps Fernanda Torres' performance become all the better, as she just kind of suddenly has to step into the spotlight of him just being vanished. And I do love her performance. It hardly needs said, but I don't even really cry at films, like, at all, but just watching her try not to cry sometimes had me, like, genuinely welling up, which is nuts. I think another hugely important element of this film is the realness of it, I guess. It feels like reality. There is no doubt in my mind coming out of that film, even though I don't know the personal story of these real characters, that this was based on a true story, you know? Because it's just too personal. It feels too... There are so many details and elements added into this film that just... Not necessarily that you couldn't write, but it just feels like you wouldn't write that way. It's too specific. It does not feel like actors sometimes, and that is just impressive on another level. So that whole idea of the personal nature of the film works with it most of the time. I'd say less so at the ending, because it kind of... We see the story, and then it jumps like 20 years, 25 years, something like that, into the future. And then we see these, you know, the children grown up and the mother older and all that. And then you're kind of like, okay, so that's a nice epilogue to the story. And then it jumps again, like another 20 years. And you're like, oh, okay, sure. Okay, I guess that's like another epilogue for the story. And then you get all the stuff about, like, the real life characters and what happened to them, and it fills all the blanks and the gaps in with just text and photos as the credits begin. And it's like, okay, I like that it was real and that it tells us about what happened to the family after, but it just kind of goes boom, 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 and it feels like the ending was really dragged out. So that's the only real complaint I've got about it. Overall, an excellent film, feels very personal and incredibly so on a level you just don't get with, you know, of almost any American film, let's be honest. I really loved so much about it. I really hope it does get the foreign language Oscar at the very least. It wouldn't even surprise me if Fernanda Torres did pull off the shock and get Best Actress, because she deserves it. So I'm giving Brazilian realist Taken 4 stars. That family is crazy on just so many levels. But the problem is it showed the before when they're all kids and stuff, and before she got her law degree, so much more than it showed the after. And I really want to explore and see more of the after. It leads to some just random midnight Google searches, let me tell you. Subscribe for more hard truths.